Hi, I'm Don Launstein, founder of Launstein Hardwood Flooring in Mason, Michigan. We started our operation in 1950, and since 1977, we've manufactured 3/8 solid hardwood flooring that has been proven to work well for many applications. Now that you have chosen the Launstein flooring system, we'll help you with your project. So stick around for many tips that will help you'll find helpful in this video. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Dan Perfect. I work in sales here at Launstein Floors. This is Bob Holland, our local installer. In today's video, we're going to cover a few things such as the tools you'll need for the job, subfloor preparation, installation of the floor, and also maintenance when you're all finished. So we're going to go on to the job site. You ready, Bob?
Yep.
Let's go. Okay, before we begin the job, we're going to go over a few of the basic tools that you're going to need. Bob here, our installer, is going to cover that with you. Bob?
Well, the first tool, the main one, is the power chop saw. You're going to need this here to make the cuts on the boards. And when you measure them, you're going to need a tape measure and a pencil to make the mark. And when you glue it, you're going to also need this here caulk gun with a tight bond adhesive. That's going to do the S-bead on the back. When you squish that down, you're going to tap it in place. You're going to need a hammer and a piece of wood here. We've got a piece of a pine tuba for it. When you tap that in, you're going to need to nail it. And we've got here an 18 gauge brad nailer. And that's hooked up to just a small air compressor like a pancake. And you've got an 18 gauge brad nail, 1 inch to 1.25 inches. And then you're ready to nail it.
Okay, we've got all of our tools laid out. Let's go to the job site and talk about subfloor preparation.
Now that we've finally arrived at our job site after going over all the basic tools that you'll need to lay your floor, we're going to go over subfloor preparation and take you through the basic steps that you'll need to know when putting down your Launstein floor. The first thing we're going to go over is the type of subfloor. Currently, we're going to be going over an OSB subfloor and then covering that OSB with Luan. What OSB is, it's known as oriented strand board. And what it is it's chipboard that comes in 4x8 sheets. In new construction, generally they use 3/4 inch. Now we're going to be covering this OSB with what is known as Luan. And Luan is real thin plywood that just gets stapled down on top of this OSB. So we're going to go over to where we're going to be laying our floor, and we're going to show you how to fasten this Luan down to the subfloor so that you'll be ready to start laying your wood floor plank.
Okay, now that we've got this Luan staple down, I can tell you what we've used. We've got an 18 gauge staple gun that's got a 1/4 inch crown on these staples here, and I've got a 3/4 inch leg. That's just the length of it. You can go like a 1 inch if you prefer, but both of them will work. And so now that we've got all this down, the next step is going to be to undercut all the places that the wood needs to tuck in where there's no shoe mold that's going to go up to it. Shoe mold is going to run along here on this baseboard, which this is the area that we're going to start the floor. We're going to snap a line here. But this piece right here, from the stair coming down, part of the stringer, we're going to undercut that and all the door jambs, and then we're going to snap a line and get going. Okay, now that we're going to undercut, I'd like to point out that I've got a professional type undercut saw that's set up at 3/8 of an inch. Basically, if you look at the blade here, you can see that it's set up for the thickness of the flooring. So all I have to do is undercut. I don't have to adjust anything. This machine's already set up for it. For most homeowners, if you want to go to like a regular Home Depot store or a place like that, you can find a hand undercut saw, set it on the board, and keep it flat. Keep in mind you got to keep it flat because when you're undercutting, it'll basically undercut the thickness of this flooring if you leave it right on the same floor that you're going to put down. But today we're going to use this one here. It's a little faster for me to get the job done to show you. And you want to make sure too, you also want to wear a safety type glasses when you're doing this because little pieces of wood can fly out of here. all these undercut, we're going to use this longest wall to snap a line from. We're going to measure out a couple marks, run a chalk line from the full length of it, snap it, and that'll give us our starting point to start this job. We're going to move across, all the way across this floor and start it. Okay, now we're going to make the first mark here. We're using 3-inch flooring, so we're going to go 3 1/4 inches on this mark. We're going to do 2 of them, one down there, one right here. And if you're using 4-inch, you'd want to go 4 1/4, 5-inch, go 5 1/4. Just add 1/4 on the thickness. So we got the first mark there, and I think we'll put one right here. Just need a 3 1/4. And that's where we're going to make the mark. Okay, we're going to snap this chalk line now. We've got it on both marks, and you want to keep it right on them. You don't want to be off a little. Try to keep it on as best you can. Keep some tension on it, and that's all it takes.
Bob's taken you through all the necessary steps to start laying your floor planks. We've fastened down the Luan over the OSB. We've undercut all the door jambs or any place the base shoe won't cover, and then we snapped our chalk line. Now as we start to lay these planks, pay close attention to the pattern that we put the glue on the back of the board and how far apart we nail the boards.
Okay, we're going to start this floor up near this vinyl floor. This is a good spot to start because we need to end butt our flooring into a vinyl reducer. If you look at the end butt on that, you can see how it tapers down. This is going to let the floor, the 3/8 floor, slope down to a vinyl floor. In this instance, this is what we'd end up doing to make this application work. So we're going to flip this over the right way and get some glue on it. And this one doesn't require as much as the floor, so you don't want to get too much near the edge to where it's going to get on the vinyl floor either. Just like that. Now it's ready to nail. Okay, what I'm doing now is I'm using these lines here on this vinyl to keep this here straight to where everything looks like everything's running perfect. So I've got 4 1/4 to the outside, and I'm going to start my nail right here. Cut. Ready to go. Okay, now this first board here, I'm going to show you how to get the glue on it the correct way. You want to do like a 1/4 inch bead. Basically when you cut your tube, they got marks on there. You just cut it and poke a hole in it. And when you start putting it on, you want to do an S pattern, edge to edge. You want to make sure you get, and when I say edge to edge, I mean to each side of the board here. Make sure you squish it down before you nail it. We're going to start nailing right here against the wall where the shoe mold is going to go. But keep in mind this blue line that we were talking about. You want to keep this board as straight as possible on that. That's going to be your starter board. Get that back nailed, you can start putting them down under the tongue at an angle, a 45-degree angle, about every 4 inches, 4 to 5. Okay, we've got this all the way laid just about, except we've got this wall here we gotta deal with, and now we're gonna have to take measurements and measure this width. Looks like it's around an inch, inch and a quarter. We're gonna have to get the exact measurement and lay these boards out and get them cut on a table saw so that we can fit them in place. We've laid this floor enough for today, and we're going to get ready to put a coat on it. And even though this floor has been sanded to about 120 grit, you should use a palm sander, especially if you've got a vinyl reducer and you're bringing this wood up to it. You should always kind of blend those and feather them together just lightly. You don't have to take a lot off. It's just going to blend it in. And maybe use like 100 or 120 grit, same as it's already been sanded with. When we nailed it, we've got nail holes here where you have to face nail. Just a light wood filler, something that matches the color. You can always do that even on the first coat. After that dries, it'll show the color of the wood. You can actually match it better that way too. So we're going to go ahead and sand this and get a coat on it. We're going to finish this floor now that we've got it all sanded. And by the way, we used an orbital sander, a little vibrating sander. And if you don't have a palm sander, you can use like a pole sander that's a hand sander. Or on a larger job, you can go to a rental shop and get a big vibrating sander, like 120 pound. It's not a drum sander, but it's going to surface sand on a larger job. Let's say if you got 500 or 1,000 feet. So let's get started on this here, and I'll show you how to apply this stuff. And we've got the 10-inch applicator that we sell. You just stir up a gallon, make sure you stir it real well and pour it in a paint tray. And get enough on your applicator. And you want to start in the room to where you can back your way out. So I'm going to kind of go across the grain a little bit, but when you're done, you want to make sure you flow it out with the grain of the wood. Just like that. And if you feel like standing up, I kind of got used to down on the knees and using this by hand. You can also get a pole sander or a pole to fit in here if you want to stand up and try it.
So hey Bob, how's it coming?
Doing good. We're just about done here. We got the first coat almost done here. And we got 2 more coats to go after this one dry. It takes about 5 hours dry, but we're going to come back tomorrow and finish this up, get another coat on it.
All right. So we'd like to say thanks to Mulder Company of Lansing, Michigan for letting us use their house here to demonstrate to you how to put this hardwood floor down. If you have any questions about any installing or anything else, you can call us back at our office at 1-888-339-4639, or you can visit us on the web at www.launstein.com.
Here we are at Launstein's Radiant Test Lab, and we're going to show you how to lay the Launstein floating floor. Today we're going to use Radiant system, and we've got the foam pad down, and when you do an application like this, you want to roll the pad out first. I want to show you a little bit on the bottom of it. It has a shiny backing on it that goes down to the subfloor. This is a moisture resistant on the bottom, and that's why you want that down in case any moisture comes up from one application would be a concrete installation, and if you're worried about any moisture at all, that would stop it. A radiant system like this, you wouldn't have to worry about it unless you sprung a leak or something like that. But anyway, you got radiant, you got cement that you can do installation, you have plywood subfloors that this will work on. So there's many applications that this floor will work on. Basically, just about as much as any of the other hardwood floor, the other types of hardwood floors. To start, I'm going to show you the first one. Basically, you start with the tongue. Usually on most floors, you start with the tongue going in the direction you're going to lay the floor. This way, you're going to actually put that against, if this were a back wall, you would put like a 1/4 inch shim, 1/8 inch to 1/4 inch shim on the back side of it. You're going to start with basically the groove going out, because this is the way the floating floor is going to have to work. And basically, this is how easy it is. I'm going to show you. You basically pop it in, and you want to get it just like that. And if you have any resistance, you don't want to push down on it. You want to try to tap it in until it seats in. That's how easy this floor is. You basically, if this were a big room and you had, let's say, a 10 to 25 foot run, you're just going to basically pop in these long pieces like this. And some of them, when they're, let's say, 12 feet, because some of these floors will be up to 12 feet long. If you have any resistance of it not going down, sometimes a hammer, tap into it, will help seat that down, because you don't want to push down on it, because you could break the weaker spot here in the groove. There's really no need to press down on it. And I'm going to get this one in. Basically want to make sure, if you see a gap, you want to make sure you work it until it all goes in. And this is basically about as hard as it gets installing this floor. And that's one that has a little bit of resistance, so you just want to tap it. And that's what I was talking about. You don't want to push down if it doesn't go, because then you can hear it crack, and that's what you don't want. And I think you get a general idea of how that works. While we're still up here in the Radiant Test Lab, I want to go over a few radiant systems that we've got up here running. On this side, we've got electric systems, and this first one here is cement with sleepers in it. It's basically, this is cement, it's like gypcrete, and we stapled a luan over it and used conventional 3/8. Our floors are 3/8 solid tongue and groove that we've done a lot of those on radiant systems. You glue and nail it, missing the tubes. We use nails like 3/4 inch on this one, 18 gauge. So we don't have to worry about hitting the electric wires in here that heats the floor. And the other one here, we've got electric grids with a luan stapled over it. We know where the wires are because we've marked them right on top, so we know where to nail and glue to this. It's the same application basically on a regular plywood subfloor here. And then we've got a gypcrete, and this one we used a 4-inch ash, and we used a trowel-on mastic, and basically pinned it where we could. We had a few sleepers in here. If you take your time, it might take a little longer, but you could do it without nailing. It is going to take a lot more time. It's easier to put sleepers in, where you can to help hold some of the flooring as the glue sets up. Here we've got some hot water radiant systems, and I can kind of go through these real quick with you. This one here is a Viega. It has a plywood that you drywall screw down, and it basically unfolds. This material right here, you drywall screw it to your 3/4 inch, let's say OSB subfloor is how we've got it here, and with a small PEX tubing in it. This floor can be glued and nailed right over the tubes, just missing the tubes with the nails basically. This is another system that's real similar, but your subfloor is the radiant tubing. You don't have to put another one on top of your other subfloor. This is it. You can glue and nail on this. We have the floating floor on this one. And if you were to glue and nail it, basically it's the same way. You just want to glue and nail with a tight bond heavy duty construction adhesive. And then we have one here that's the floating floor. It's a raw system. This one here seems to work real well with the floating system that we've got here. And then we've got a crate system here by Easy Floor. This one we used a 1/2 inch. It's called Hardybacker 500. It's about a 1/2 inch thick. You can use like a 5/8 nail. You can glue a nail into it. I prefer to use a 3/4 to 1 inch nail. But the only way you can do that is if you mark where the tubes are, and I recommend doing that. But this system works really well too. You can glue a nail to that. And this one here is a staple up system. I've done a lot of these. Down in your basement, you have to put this in underneath your subfloor. This is the tubes here. You got reflector plates, and then you can glue a nail with, let's say, a 1 inch nail will not go through the 3/4 plus the flooring. So you can use an 18 gauge 1 inch long nail with your tight bond adhesive on the back of the boards. And that's another way to install.
Now that we've showed you about the installation of Launstein floors, we'd like to tell you about how we ship it and get it to your destination. What Paul's working on here is building pallets and putting the flooring onto pallets so that it will come to you via common carrier. Companies such as CCX, FedEx Freight will bring this load right to your house or to a local terminal where you can pick it up. If you choose to have it come to your house, have a pair of tin snips handy so that you can cut the bands once the load arrives. If you choose to pick it up at the terminal, usually a 1/2 ton or 3/4 ton pickup truck will be enough to pick up your floor. If you choose not to have your load delivered to you, you can come to our warehouse here and pick it up. Or if the order is small enough, we can send it through UPS. When we do send the floors through UPS, we box it in boxes like this that come stapled shut and taped together if there's more than one. UPS usually does a pretty good job for sending the flooring. We ship or finish our oil-based polyurethane boxes like this, which will come on top of your common carrier load. And the same with the adhesive. Now this particular load is going to Durango, Colorado, so it's about a 4 or 5 day transit time. To the East Coast, we're in Michigan, to the East Coast it's about a 2 to 3 day transit time. And anywhere out in the Midwest, Colorado, or further west is 4 to 5 days. Now, If you want to order just adhesive or just the polyurethane, we have to send that through U.S. mail because of the hazardous materials. But overall, we try to take good care of the floor once you order it. If you'd like to order the floor and hold it here for a month or 2 or 3, that would be fine. We have 2 large warehouses where we can do that. So, to wrap things up, once again, if you have any questions about anything that we've went over, you can call us at our office at 1-888-339-4639 or on the website www.launstein.com.